driving down to North Carolina. It was a really rainy day the first day. The New Jersey Turnpike was flooded. And even though the van had been serviced just a couple of days before we left on the trip, as we were driving along, the windshield wiper blade just kept on slowly moving out of the way. It kept getting loose and kept moving further and further out of the way. And so as I was using the windshield wiper, my passenger, Anna, could see perfectly because that one was working, but I couldn't see anything but a blur. So I would pull over on the side of the road and I would try to, thread that wiper back in just so, and I was sure I had it in just the exact same, the right spot. And we'd go for a few more miles and then the blade would start to work itself out. And so then it stopped raining for a while, and it seemed like we were going to be fine. And then we get on the Delaware Bay Bridge, which has no breakdown lane. And the blade works itself all the way out so that there's just this much left. And so we're trying to continue to drive. And I'm saying to Anna, okay, you now have to tell me what's in front of me because I can't see anything at all. And I could see the taillights, like when you're in a snowstorm and you can sort of make out the taillights in front of you, that's what I could see. But there was no way to pull over. And so finally we get over the bridge. We haven't run into anything. I pull off to the side of the road. And as I get out of the church van, I guess I said aloud, what are we going to do? What should we do? And apparently that terrified Anna Mae, who up to that point had seen me as a competent mother and trip leader. And then I'm asking, what are we going to do? And Deb Mallon and Grace Oliveira in the back, and they're just being calm as they possibly can be. And Anna whips off her hair elastic and says, try this. So I thread the blade back in. I use a hair elastic. I get it on the windshield wiper, and we were able to use that to get safely to our hotel for the evening. I did go that night, or the next morning, and I got new windshield wiper blades. But the guy at the Autoport store thought that was one of the most unique fixes he had ever seen for a broken windshield wiper blade. But it really was kind of dangerous in those few moments. But we were taking that journey, we were taking that risk because there was a call within to go to North Carolina, to love and serve people who are in pain every day because of chronic poverty. Responding to that insistent, consistent, common call to love and serve will have its risks, but it's part of who we are as people of faith. Throughout our lives, we'll wrestle with that question of identity. Who am I? What am I called to do? But as people of faith, we know we are people who are called to love and serve others. So I know that sounds like the stopping point for the sermon, but I read this really interesting article this week, and so I just want to add an addendum to this sermon. It was written by George Love, who's a Presbyterian minister, and he was suggesting that Moana is a parable for the modern church. So part of the story of Moana is that her ancestors were voyagers, were wayfinders. Hidden in a cave on the island is a whole fleet of sailboats that have been hidden from those who live on the island now. And in the past, those people would get on those boats and they would sail from island to island, live on an island for some period of time, and then they'd go off to adventure and see the world and live on another island. But because of encountering some unusual disasters, the fear had grown, and they had decided to remain on that one island and never to go beyond it. So what George Love is suggesting is that sometimes it seems like the modern church has forgotten its ancestors, has forgotten its history, which is that Jesus, as he was ascending to heaven, said, go out into the world and make disciples. The Apostle Paul never stood still unless he was in jail because he was going out and telling people. So instead of staying on our island and protecting who we are, the call is to go out and share who we are with others. Now, I love the church, and I don't understand why people aren't just, crowding in here, but that's not what's happening, and perhaps that's not where we came from. So maybe part of what we need to think about is how we go out into that world and bring the church to those without church.